Hey guys, tonight we're starting an exploration into the shadowy depths of Victorian London. Imagine this. You're strolling along a tight alley in 1730s London. The cobblestones are slippery with stuff you'd rather not identify, and then you spot it. A wooden sign creaking in the chilly breeze over a cellar entrance. The words on it halt you in your steps. Drunk for a penny, dead drunk for tuppence. Clean straw for nothing. Now, pause and consider that. What sort of spot promotes death as a feature? What level of hopelessness pushes folks through those doors? Tonight, we'll enter that threshold as a group, and I assure you, the reality is more grim, bizarre, and sorrowful than you might guess. Before we head down those steps into history's gloom, I have a request. If you're someone who enjoys plunging into overlooked tales, the kind skipped in school books but that uncover our true nature, then please do this. Tap that subscribe button. And if this evening's tale sends shivers down your spine, sparks some thoughts, or simply accompanies you as you doze off, make that like button shine. I'd also be curious to hear where you're tuning in from right now. Your room in Ohio? A midnight in London? Perhaps you're halfway across the globe and it's daytime there. Leave a comment and share. There's a certain charm in us all coming together from different time zones to honor lives from centuries past. Okay, turn down those lights if you haven't yet. Settle in. Maybe tug that blanket nearer. Let's step into the hazy, gin-drenched realm of ancient London. First, you need to grasp this. When folks mention Victorian London, they often envision the idealized scene. Men in top hats, women with parasols, the Industrial Revolution delivering advancement and wealth. Sure, that version of London was real. But parallel to it, often mere blocks away, existed an entirely separate city. A London where folks were crammed into decaying tenements like canned fish, where kids began labor at age 7, where one room could hold 3 households, and where gin, inexpensive, fiery, occasionally toxic gin, turned into the sole cheap way out from a life that was truly intolerable. Let me share a figure that still stuns me whenever it crosses my mind. In 1750, the typical Londoner drank 10 gallons of gin annually. 10 gallons. That's not ale, remember. That's pure liquor. For context, that's roughly 530 shots of gin per individual each year. Every adult and child. About 1.5 shots daily. I don't know your habits, but I've had evenings where a single gin and tonic seemed smart, and I paid for it the following day. Picture a whole city maintaining that routine daily for years. But here's what truly affects me, and this ties in personally somehow. You see, I ponder what compels someone to that sign. Drunk for a penny, dead drunk for tuppence. You realize what that truly represents? It's not merely promotion, it's not advertising. It's an offer of numbness. It's declaring, we get that your existence is tough. We know you're freezing, you're starving, your kids are ill. You labor 14 hours daily and still fall short on rent. Enter here, hand over your scant coins, and for a short while, we'll let you erase all that. And the clean straw for nothing. That's where you drop once you blacked out. Just sprawl on the ground amid other lost individuals, until you roused enough to stagger back to your nightmarish routine. There was this district, and I've studied it so often that I can almost navigate its paths mentally, named St. Giles. Nowadays, it's vanished, wiped from London's layout, replaced by New Oxford Street. But in the 1700s and early 1800s, St. Giles was a nightmare on earth. It was so infamous that it gained a nickname, the Holy Land. That's Victorian black wit for you, labeling London's foulest slum as sacred. The artist William Hogarth, whom we'll discuss extensively in this series, drew his renowned engraving Gin Lane from St. Giles. When you view that picture, and believe me, we'll dissect its every chilling element later, you're gazing at an actual location. Those weren't overstatements, that was reportage. Here's a glimpse of everyday existence in St. Giles. Entire families, father, mother, 5 or 6 kids, would occupy a single room. No windows, or if windows existed, no panes in them. No warmth beyond perhaps a tiny flame that doubled for meal prep if they had anything to prepare. The structures lacked foundations since they were meant as temporary. But temporary stretched into decades, and those buildings began crumbling literally with residents inside. Roofs dripped, stairs gave way, and the landlords ignored it. The lease ends soon, they'd claim. Why spend on fixes? Now envision yourself in those settings. Picture February in London, frigid, damp, dismal. You've completed a 14-hour factory shift, or you've roamed the roads all day peddling matches or used garments or whatever scraps you gathered. Your kids are hungry. Your spouse is unwell. Your dwelling is a moist, dim space reeking of mildew and waste since the shared outhouse overflows in the yard beyond. You hold perhaps a few pennies. You could buy food that won't satisfy anyone, or you could buy gin. And for 1 penny, for mere hours, you can forget. You can feel warm. You can feel somewhat normal again. I'm not justifying it. I'm not claiming it was wise. I'm saying I comprehend it. And here's what shatters my heart in this tale. These weren't wicked folks. They weren't idle or unethical or naturally harmful. They were individuals caught in a setup that viewed them as subhuman. They were laborers who constructed the British Empire's riches with their labor and received nearly zilch back. And when they sought gin, when they lurched into those cellars and drank into oblivion, society gazed at them and declared, "Look, the poor are sinful. The poor are frail. This is their fault." But was it? Here's a theme that'll recur in our narrative. In 1689, the British government chose a path. They were warring with France, and French brandy was the favored drink then. So what happened? They barred French imports and promoted English gin making. They dismantled the distilling monopoly. They slashed gin taxes. They allowed anyone to produce it anywhere without permits. It was fiscal strategy, protectionism, back local makers, harm the French market. Appeared clever back then, yes? But here's the outcome. Gin output surged. And I mean surged. Abruptly, gin wasn't merely obtainable, it was ubiquitous, it was inexpensive, cheaper than meals, cheaper than ale. And recall, this was a time when London's water could kill you outright. Cholera, typhoid. Folks drank alcohol since it was safer than water often. But gin differed from beer. Gin was potent. Gin was around 40% alcohol, and when consumed on empty stomachs because food was unaffordable, when used to warm up since heat was lacking, when taken to forget dying kids and collapsing existence, it turned into something different entirely. They termed it mother's ruin for good reason, and we'll encounter that term frequently as we delve further. Gin got blamed for wrecking households, especially mothers. There were accounts, genuine ones from court logs, of women so hooked on gin that they ignored their kids, sold belongings, even, and this is tough to discuss, even hurt their infants for gin funds. We'll encounter one such woman in upcoming episodes, and her tale will linger with you. It lingers with me. Her name was Judith Dufour, and what befell her and her child symbolized the gin crisis. But I'm jumping ahead. We'll return to her. For now, Grasp the magnitude of events. By the 1730s and 1740s, gin intake in London hit emergency levels. Estimates indicate 1 in 4 homes in areas like St. Giles sold gin. 1 in 4. Picture strolling your block now, and every 4th residence is a makeshift tavern. And these weren't fine venues. These were dingy holes, sometimes merely a counter in a front space. The gin often wasn't authentic. Distillers diluted it with whatever. Turpentine for pine flavor. Sulfuric acid for punch. Some folks lost sight from drinking it. Some lost sanity. Some perished outright. Death rates rose. Birth rates fell. For one of London's rare historical moments, the population shrank despite rural influx for jobs. Consider that. A city meant to expand, an empire's core, was losing residents because they drank to death. And the government initially did little because here's the ugly truth. They profited from gin, taxes, income. Yes, they sparked the issue, but now they gained from it. It required decades, repeated law attempts, public uproar, art, campaigns, and yes, sad cases like the one I noted before they seriously tackled it. And when they did, the fix wasn't what you'd assume, but we'll cover that in future episodes. Here's what I want you to reflect on tonight as you nod off. That sign. Drunk for a penny, dead drunk for tuppence, clean straw for nothing. It's not merely a historic oddity. It's a glimpse into human agony hard for us to fathom now. It's also a glimpse into endurance, because folks endured this. London endured this. And eventually, something amazing occurred. Those gin cellars, those dens of misery, evolved. They became known as gin palaces. Stunning, intricate, nearly theatrical venues. From the ruins of the gin crisis emerged what would shape Victorian nightlife. But how? How did we shift from dead drunk for tuppence in a basement to crystal chandeliers and gilded mirrors? How did gin change from mother's ruin to a proper beverage? And who were the actual folks driving this shift? Not merely the sufferers, but the business owners, the reformers, the artists who shifted opinion with their creations. That's our next destination. We're heading back to 1689, to the instant when England chose war with France, and a gin decision that resonated across eras. We'll encounter monarchs and distillers, troops and leaders. We'll witness how one seemingly rational choice can spiral into disaster. And we'll begin to see that gin's tale isn't solely about booze. It's about want and authority. It's about who escapes and who gets faulted. It's about how societies handle suffering or fail to. So, inhale deeply. Let that sign's image dim for now. Tomorrow evening, well, in mere moments really, we're returning to the origin. Before the cellars, before the crisis, before Mother's ruin gained her title. We're heading to 1689, to a point when all altered. Stick with me. This tale is only starting. You know what's odd about history? The largest catastrophes nearly always begin with someone believing they're quite smart. Someone powerful decides something that appears fully sensible then, and decades on, folks are dying in streets from it. And if you sat in that meeting when the choice was made, you'd likely agree. You might even cheer. That's what makes this segment so captivating and a bit frightening. So, let's turn back time. It's November 5th, 1688. Recall? Remember the 5th of November? Yes, that date. But this isn't about Guy Fawkes. This is about something equally explosive in its way. On this day, a Dutch prince called William of Orange arrives in England with forces. Now, if you're not into history, you might wonder, hold on, why's a Dutch fellow invading England? Wasn't England a big power? How does that occur? Here's the brief rundown, and I promise it ties into our gin narrative. England's ruler then was James II, and he was Catholic. This posed an issue since England was mostly Protestant, and folks were terrified, truly terrified, that James would revert England to Catholicism. Perhaps compel conversions, perhaps ally with Catholic France and Spain. The fear was genuine. So, English nobles basically invited William of Orange, who was Protestant and wed to James's daughter Mary, to rescue England. It was an invasion, technically, but by request. History labels it the Glorious Revolution. Because amazingly, little blood spilled. James escaped to France. William and Mary became co-rulers, and all seemed, well, that resolved nicely. But here's where our tale truly launches. See, William of Orange wasn't simply Dutch. He'd battled the French his whole life. The Dutch and French were fierce foes. Now William ruled England, so England and France were set to become fierce foes too. In months, England warred with France. And war, friends, war alters all. Now, consider the economics briefly. Before William arrived, what did English folks drink? The rich had wine and brandy, mainly French brandy. It was elegant, imported, costly but manageable if you had funds. The laboring classes had beer and ale. England had been a beer nation for ages. Beer was nourishing, fairly safe, and truly it was part of English character. There's a reason it was called liquid bread. But now England's at war with France, and French brandy funds the foe. Each French brandy bottle bought sends cash to France's economy, possibly arming French troops against English ones. So what does Parliament do in 1689? They impose huge duties on French brandy. They make it too pricey for all but the ultra-rich, which makes wartime economic sense. Cut enemy trade, damage their finances, standard tactic. But they didn't halt there. See, there was this beverage called Geneva, or gin as English termed it, popular in the Netherlands, William of Orange's land. And some Parliament members thought, hey, why not urge English distillers to produce gin? Then we're not reliant on foreign liquor. We're generating home jobs and backing English farming since gin uses grain. On paper, great plan. Aid local trade, create employment, uplift farms, poke the French. What could go awry? All of it. All could go awry. And it did. In 1690, Parliament enacted what we call the Gin Act of 1690, though not named that then. This act shattered the London Guild of Distillers' monopoly. Before, to distill spirits in or near London, you needed guild membership. You served an apprenticeship, met quality rules, all that. It was overseen, regulated. The guild kept prices fair but not rock bottom, and upheld standards. But Parliament saw that as limiting, as curbing output. Let's free it up. So they did. Suddenly, anyone could distill gin. No approval needed, no training, no guild or standards. Just go ahead. And here's the twist. They also slashed production taxes dramatically because, recall, they aimed to boost this. They wanted gin to supplant French brandy. They wanted English grain utilized well. The government outright encouraged gin making. And guess what? It succeeded. Man, did it succeed. In years, England's gin output exploded. And I'm not overstating. The figures are astonishing. In 1690, England made about 500,000 gallons of gin yearly. By 1710, 2 million. By 1720, 4 million. And by 1730, over 6 million gallons annually in London alone. That's excluding the country. Do you grasp how much gin that is? Enough for every Londoner, adult and child, to have multiple gallons yearly. And remember, this is strong liquor, not beer. This is spirits. Now here's where I must depict gin making in this unregulated setup, because it's wild. You could install a still in your kitchen, basement, or backyard shed. People did. Widows needing income began distilling gin. Merchants distilled in back rooms and sold up front. It turned into a literal cottage industry. And with no rules, no oversight, no norms, folks made it any way possible. Proper gin involves distilling grain alcohol and adding juniper berries and botanicals. But juniper costs cash. Quality grain costs cash. So many small distillers cut corners. They used cheapest grain, sometimes rotting. They flavored with whatever. Turpentine from pine trees became a common juniper stand-in because it was cheap and piney. Some added sulfuric acid for bite. Seriously, sulfuric acid, stuff that burns metal, and folks drank it because it was cheap. By the 1720s, a gin shot cost a penny. 1 penny. For perspective, bread cost more. Beer cost more. Gin became literally the least expensive buy. Cheaper than food. And when you're poor, hungry, cold, and miserable, a penny for hours of warmth and oblivion looks like a solid deal. You know what hits me about this mess? Nobody aimed to spark a health emergency. That wasn't the goal. The leaders who approved the Gin Act of 1690 believed they were wise. They thought they backed English trade and farms while harming French foes. The distillers starting in homes and stores were just earning a living. They were innovators, seizing a fresh chance. And the drinkers sought brief relief from brutally tough lives. Nobody was villainous here. All were just surviving or thriving or aiding their nation. Yet the outcome was disastrous. This is what keeps me awake sometimes. How easily good or neutral aims can twist into tragedy. How swiftly a choice in a government hall can spread and ruin lives. The politicians voting for that 1690 Act never walked St. Giles slums. They never stepped over street bodies. They never saw a mother pick gin over feeding kids. They decided in a comfy chamber, likely over wine. Then they returned to estates, and the fallout hit those without power, voice, or means to halt it. But here's something I consider too, and perhaps it's debatable, but listen. Was gin truly the issue, or was gin merely a sign? Think. Gin's popularity, people drinking to blackout, stemmed from unbearable lives. The Industrial Revolution reshaped England. But that shift was cruel for workers. They were driven from rural lands into cities, living in unimaginable conditions. They toiled 14, 16-hour days in risky factories. Kids as young as 5 or 6 labored in mines and mills. No medical care, no safety net, no rights. Sick? Lose job. Lose job? Starve, freeze, or enter a workhouse, essentially poverty prison. So when gin appeared, cheap, strong, readily available, is it surprising folks turned to it? If you lived in one room with your family, no heat, no food, no hope for improvement, Wouldn't a penny promising forgetfulness tempt you? I ponder this when seeing today's drug crises, opioid epidemics, 80s crack epidemics. We tend to fault the substance or users, call them weak or immoral. But maybe we should ask why folks hurt so much they need escape first. Anyway, that's philosophical. Let me share another mind-blowing number. By 1733, just 4 decades post-1690 Gin Act, London had over 7,000 gin shops. 7,000 in a 600,000-person city. 1 per 85 folks. And that's registered ones. Historians guess thousands more ran illegally or semi-legally. In spots like St. Giles, gin cellars occupied literally 1 in 4 houses. You couldn't stroll without passing several. And the gin had creative names. Lady's Delight, supposedly smoother, sweeter. Cuckold's Comfort, name hinting unhappy marriages and escape. Strip Me Naked, so potent it might make you shed clothes. Or perhaps named because folks pawned clothes for it. Kill Grief, bluntly admitting it numbed emotions. No subtlety. And my favorite, though grim, Mother's Ruin. That's what gin became called broadly. Mother's ruin for demolishing families, as mothers drank, neglected kids, sometimes did unthinkable for gin cash. We'll explore those tales soon, and they're tough. But here's what to grasp about this historical point. The 1690 decision to free gin production was pivotal. It turned England from a soberish beer nation to a gin-soaked wreck. And it occurred via policy, government choice. The gin crisis wasn't inevitable. It wasn't organic. It was made. And that's the key insight for me. When considering today's social issues, addiction, homelessness, poverty, we must ask what policies created this. What choices by those in power led here? Because surely some well-intended politician thought they were smart. You know what else occurred in the 1690s? Government started profiting from gin. Production taxes, even low, generated revenue. By the 1730s, gin taxes formed a big chunk of income, meaning even as the crisis worsened, even as reformers demanded action, government had financial motive to keep gin flowing. They'd birthed a beast and now fed off it. Sound familiar? It should. Same as tobacco taxes, gambling earnings, any vice governments profit from while folks suffer. The truly tragic part, folks foresaw this. In early 1700s, doctors and clergy began alarms about gin. They authored pamphlets, gave sermons, said, "This is spiraling. It's ruining society." And what occurred? Little. Because the gin lobby held sway. Distillers profited. Tavern owners profited. Grain farmers rejoiced at crop markets. Government collected taxes. Warnings ignored. For decades ignored. Meanwhile, more fell into addiction. More families shattered. More kids died. More bodies in ditches and cellars. Not until the 1730s, when things worsened so even the rich couldn't ignore, did real reform start. And even then, effective law took until 1751. That's over 60 years from the original act sparking the problem. 60 years. 3 generations suffering before meaningful action. And the darkest bit? This cycle repeats in history. We create issues via policy or neglect. Folks suffer. We dismiss warnings as powerful interests gain from status quo. Crisis escalates, eventually so bad we act. We reform. Then, a generation or two later, we forget lessons and repeat with something new. So here we are in 1690 at the gin crisis start. The act passed. Gin flows more yearly. It's cheap, everywhere, strong. And over next decades, it'll alter London into something shocking even to contemporaries. It'll craft scenes of woe and despair that artists like Hogarth felt driven to capture, not just for their era, but as caution for future ones. Us. It's caution for us. In a moment, we'll enter that horror fully. We'll discuss the 1720s, 30s, and 40s, the gin crisis peak. We'll tour gin shops and cellars. We'll see what gin was like, what it did to bodies and minds. We'll examine numbers, some shocking on deaths, crimes, births. We'll grasp what happens when society collapses under addiction's weight. And we'll pose hard questions on responsibility and what finally roused folks to act. Stay near. This is where the tale darkens, but also where truth becomes undeniable. There's an odor you can't shake once described. Historian after historian noting 1730s London gin cellars mentions it. This overpowering reek of unwashed flesh, vomit, urine, and the sharp chemical tang of badly made spirits. One author called it a mist so dense you tasted it before reaching the stair's base. And I consider that often, how if we time traveled there, the first strike wouldn't be sights, it'd be smells, the full sensory terror. That's our spot now. We're descending those stairs. It's 1735 London. Let me guide you through a real gin cellar visit because I want you to truly get it. You're a worker. Say you load ships at docks. You've labored since pre-dawn. It's 7 p.m. now, and you're drained. Your back throbs, your hands raw. You've got maybe 3 pence, your day's pay. You're meant to bring that to your wife and kids. That cash should buy bread, perhaps milk if fortunate. But you're so weary, so chilled, and you know nearby is a spot where 1 penny erases that pain, briefly. So you head there. You traverse a narrow lane, and I mean narrow, like 3 feet across, between crumbling bricks. Sewage flows centrally. You avoid it. You reach a half-rotted door on rusty hinges. Above, perhaps that sign we discussed, or a rough bottle sketch. You open it and hit that smell instantly. But it's warm below, warm from crowded bodies. So you descend. Stairs, steep, slippery. Light from few tallow candles, fat ones adding greasy smoke. You hit bottom and eyes adjust. Room maybe 15 by 20 feet. Ceiling low, duck if tall. Walls damp with moisture, people packed, standing since no seats, or slumped on floor if already done. Behind a wood counter, planks on barrels really, is the cellar. Could be male, female, or someone drinking as much as serving. Behind them, the gin. Not fancy bottles, big earthen jugs. Sometimes barrels with taps. Cellar has ladle or cup. You place penny on counter. They ladle from jug. Pour you maybe 2 or 3 ounces, small cup. Could be pewter touched by dozens, chipped pottery, tin with edges. You down it there, usually 1 gulp, because that's the way. Taste? If lucky, very lucky, juniper and alcohol. Sharp, piney, burning down. But if unlucky, in one of hundreds cutting with turpentine, it's like paint thinner, because it is. Turpentine is paint thinner. From pines, so piney like juniper if you squint. But toxic. Damages kidneys, liver, nerves. Or your gin's laced with sulfuric acid, oil of vitriol called. Added for bite, harshness, as folks linked burn to strength, to alcohol level. Sulfuric acid, same stuff dissolving metal in concentration. You drink diluted. Won't kill instantly, but over time corrodes stomach, ruins teeth, sickens in ways 18th century docs didn't grasp, but we do. Some gin sweetened with sugar to seem aged, quality. Some thickened with almond oil for body. Some salted to thirst you for more.
Cases of gin flavored with grains of paradise, coriander, angelica, but also deadly nightshade.
Lead acetate for sweetness. Anything cheap. You didn't know contents, just knew it was gin. Cost penny. Got you drunk. So you drink. In minutes, you feel it. Gin, 40% alcohol, sometimes higher. Empty stomach, since likely no meal, hits quick. Room blurs. Bone-chilling cold fades. Back pain, handache, dulls. And briefly, you feel not great exactly, but not awful, not caged, not hopeless, just numb, floating. And that sensation's so rare in your life, you're willing to poison yourself for it. Now, multiply that by thousands, tens of thousands nightly across London. Imagine city's impact. Let me share numbers that still shake me noting them. In 1720, London's birth rate about 40 per 1,000 yearly. Not ideal, but viable. By 1750, gin crisis height dropped to 32 per 1,000. 20% fall. Why? Pregnant heavy drinkers miscarried. Babies from alcoholic mothers. We know fetal alcohol syndrome now. They didn't. Born frail, sick, delayed. Infant death soared. Early 1700s, 1 in 5 kids died pre-year 1 in London. Awful. But 1740 St. Giles, 1 in 3. Worst spots, near 1 in 2. Half kids dead pre-1. Gin, huge factor. Not just syndrome, but addicted mothers neglected babies. Babies died. Exposure, starvation, accidents from drunk caregivers missing threats. Another number. 1725, more deaths than births in London. Population declined. Consider. London, empire capital, rural influx for work should have boomed population. Instead shrank as death outpaced births and immigration. Unprecedented peacetime in London's history, largely gin. Death rates obscene in gin areas. Famous 1751 magistrate quote, "In some town parts, 1 house in 4 sells gin, and in those streets, 1 person in 4 dies gin drunk." Maybe exaggeration, but underlying truth horrifying. Folks died, acute poisoning, liver failure, drunk accidents, falling stairs, into Thames, traffic, violence, gin fights lethal, exposure, blacking out, winter streets freezing. 1738 night watchman account from St. Giles' diary. Found 3 dead in street tonight, 2 men, 1 woman. All seem died from cold, drunk, senseless. 4th was child, about 6, by what seemed its mother, dead. Child so bad I thought it'd die by morning. 1 night, 1 area. Normal. Then the madness. Literal madness. Gin psychosis, real. Heavy drinking long-term, especially toxic cut spirits, brain damage. Hallucinations, outbursts, delusions. Bethlehem Hospital records, Bedlam, the infamous asylum, show huge admission spike during gin craze, especially 1730 to 1750. They didn't know causes, just knew more going mad. Now we know, alcohol plus poisons. Blindness, another plague. Methanol, wood alcohol, in bad gin. Methanol blinds. 1740s accounts of blind beggars, some young, from gin. Complete blindness, no alert, no reverse. One day see, drink bad gin, days later, vision gone forever. Imagine drinking from cellar hoping this batch won't blind you. What really gets me? Cellars often weren't evil, they were poor too. Widow after husband's death might sell gin as one way women earned sans male kin's okay. She'd buy cheap from distiller or making kitchen, sell penny higher. Margins thin. She didn't aim to poison, she aimed to survive. But her survival meant customer ruin. All trapped in desperation, feeding desperation. Let me describe dram shops. Step below gin cellars. Dram shops basically room corners, sometimes wall-covered on street. Walk up, pay penny, someone pours dram through window. No entry, no sitting, no group, even dark toxic one of cellars. Just take, drink, leave. Hundreds in London, maybe thousands, some 24-hour. Anytime gin. That availability, insane. Henry Fielding, writer, magistrate, Tom Jones author, lived this, tried change. In 1751, crisis peak, he issued pamphlet An Inquiry into the Causes of the Late Increase of Robbers. Quote, burned in my brain. A new drunkenness unknown to ancestors lately arisen among us, and if not stopped, will destroy many inferior people. The drunkenness I mean is by this poison called gin, principal sustenance, if so called, of over 100,000 in this metropolis. 100,000. From 600,000 population, 1 in 6 Londoners subsisted mainly on gin, not food. Drinking meals, calories, existence. Fielding there, seeing, desperately making folks grasp emergency, London dying. But here's what breaks my heart about Fielding's pamphlet. He wasn't just outlining the issue, he pleaded for solutions. You feel frustration, desperation in his words, because he'd watched years. He'd sentenced gin crimes in court years. Theft for gin, drunk violence, child neglect from gin. Murder. So much murder. And he screamed to Void, please, do something. And folks noticed. By 1740s, couldn't ignore. Streets full staggering gin drunks. Crime skyrocketed. Burglaries, robberies, assaults. Prostitution exploded for gin money. Workplaces struggled as workers arrived drunk or absent. Military complained healthy recruits scarce as generation destroyed by gin. Ships couldn't find sailors. Factories reliable workers. Society's machinery breaking. 1748 German visitor to London wrote home describing hell. He mentions St. Giles, seeing kids drinking gin. Saw boy no older than 7 drunk in street. Woman nursing infant while drinking gin, offering bottle to 3-year-old. Old man die street corner, people step over for gin shop. No one cared. Death so routine, part of landscape. And even contemporaries knew it insane. Letters, diaries from literate working class express horror at community ruin. They knew. Saw neighbors, friends, family self-destruct. But what could they do? How fight epidemic when poor, powerless, government profiting from killer? By 1750, London breaking point. Something had the yield, and it did. But not before one tale captured public mind, symbolizing all gin wrong. Tale so dark, shocking, that it finally forced averters to look straight at gin's doings. That tale involves Judith Dufour, her 2-year-old child, and choice so unthinkable that at trial, city held breath. We're about to meet Judith, Hear her story, understand her life, witness that terrible 1734 day. Not easy, not comfortable, but necessary. Because Judith Dufour became mother's ruined face. Cautionary tale reformers cited generations. And she was real. Real person with real life ending worst way. Let's discover who she truly was. Sometimes one name bears an era's weight. Say Anne Frank, it's Holocaust. Say Emmett Till, it's racism, injustice in America. In 1730s London, say or whisper Judith Dufour, all knew. You meant gin crisis. What desperation, addiction drive humans to. You meant mother, child, choice haunting me still. Before what Judith did, understand who she was. Because this devastates, she wasn't monster. Just person failed by all around her. Let me trace back. Judith Dufour, born around 1704, maybe 1705. Parents Huguenots, French Protestant refugees fleeing persecution to England. So from start, Judith's family outsiders, immigrants. Settled Spitalfields, East London, silk-weaving hub with large Huguenot group. Father noted as poor but honest weaver. Poor but honest. Phrase common in records, always tugs my heart. As if poverty suspects dishonesty unless proved otherwise. Judith started silk winder at 10 or 12. Winds silk thread on bobbins. Repetitive, fine work ruining eyesight over time. Worked for female weaver 11 years, then male weaver 4 more. So mid-20s, Judith spent conscious life on this job. No other skills, no schooling. Illiterate, no assets, no savings, just silk winding ability. Then something occurred. Records unclear, but read between lines. Judith pregnant, unmarried. 18th century England, catastrophic. Trial note. Fell into bad company, had bastard child which died. Bad company. Phrase used. As if Judith's pregnancy moral fail, not human. As if man involved bore zero blame. And that pregnancy likely cost job. Unmarried pregnant women fired always. Automatic. Pregnant, out. Doesn't matter 15 years faithful. Skilled, out. So suddenly no income. Pregnant. No known family support. Parents likely dead or unmentioned. Alone completely. Baby first died. How? Unknown. Infant death high. Babies just died. Or Judith couldn't afford food. Baby starved. Or drank gin pregnant. Baby too weak. Unknown. But baby died, then Judith pregnant again. With girl named Mary. Now consider Judith's life here. About 28, 29. No job, no home. Living where? Unclear. Possibly workhouse, poverty prison. Possibly shared tenement room. Baby daughter, no money, no future. Alcoholic. Trial records clear. By then, Judith heavily gin addicted. See how this built? Not sudden moral drop. Slow build-up circumstances, each shrinking options till trapped. Poverty, job loss, shame. Immense shame unmarried mother then. Isolation, hopelessness, and gin cheap, available every corner, offering brief relief all. Of course she drank. Of course. What else? On January 24th, 1734, yes, exact date from trial, Judith did something desperate practicality or unspeakable cruelty, depending view. Probably both. Went to workhouse holding daughter Mary. Mary too. Workhouse recently gave Mary new clothes. Little coat, stays, petticoat, stockings. New for 2-year-old. Picture? Little girl rags suddenly new. Maybe excited. Showed off. 2-year-olds do. Judith told officials wanted take Mary few hours, visit, time together. They allowed. Why not? Mary's mother. So Judith took Mary's hand, walked out. Mother, child on cold January day. Judith not alone. With woman Suki, some records suggest also alcoholic, desperate. And here's next. Tell straight, awful as is. Took Mary to Bethnal Greenfield. Stripped clothes off 2-year-old. Coat, stays, petticoat, stockings, all. Then Judith strangled own daughter. Killed Mary. Threw naked body ditch, left like trash. Then Judith, Suki took clothes, this dead child's, to pawn shop. Sold coat, stays 1 shilling, petticoat, stockings groat, 4 pence. Total 16 pence. With that, bought gin. Specifically quart, quarter pint. Split money, gin, got drunk. I pause here, emotional just recounting. Child, 2-year-old, name Mary, existed, died worst way. And her death used, still, as symbol, caution, propaganda. But real little girl didn't grow. That's, sorry, hard. Body found quick. Someone saw ditch, reported. Since Judith took Mary from workhouse, easy figure. Judith arrested days, Suki too. Both confessed fast, no long probe, no puzzle. Admitted all. Trial February 27th, 28th, 1734, Old Bailey. Courtroom packed. All wanted see woman killed child for gin money. Evidence straightforward. Workhouse witnesses testified. Clothes buyer testified. Judith's confession read. Trial under 2 days. Verdict certain. Guilty. Hanging death. But here's what strikes about trial. Reading records, yes, exist. Readable online Old Bailey site. What hits is gin focus. Did for gin money. Drunk on gin. Gin made her. Yes, gin part story. But not whole, was it? What about society giving Judith no child support way? Employers firing pregnant. Men impregnating, 0 consequences. Economic system paying 15 years' work so little, no savings, no net. Government flooding streets, cheap poison gin, shocked addiction? Their blame? But trial not that. Trial Judith only. She monster, cautionary. Mother's ruin embodied. And March 8, 1734, Judith Dufour hanged Tyburn, London's main execution site. Thousands watched. Execution's public spectacle then. Judith's especially attended, all heard deed. After hanging, body to medical school's anatomization. Dissection. Even death, no dignity. Body cut before students, used education. Medical learning important. Unclaimed bodies needed. But feels final violation, no? Poor, addicted, desperate. Did unforgivable, killed. Torn apart. Justice served? Don't know answer. What Judith did, horrific. 2-year-old died because mother valued gin more life. Or at least desperation, addiction moment, saw no option. Unforgivable, right? Kind things say, no matter circumstances, killed child, evil. But think Judith's life. Think starting work 10. 15 years labor, nothing show. Pregnant, lose all. Poverty extreme, can't eat. Turn gin, only pain stop even hour. So addicted brain chemistry changed, no rational choices. Was she failed? Failed by society so fully that killing Mary, already destroyed person. Not saying not responsible, saying maybe not only. Maybe many guilty, but one hanged. Here's troubling. After execution, Judith's story famous. Preachers sermonized. This gin does. Devil liquid. Reformers pamphlet. Must ban gin before more families ruined. Politicians debated. See, lower classes can't trust cheap alcohol. Yes, Judith's story pushed gin reform. One case aiding 1751 Gin Act. So Mary's death, Judith's hanging led positive. Fewer gin deaths after. But wonder keeps me awake if real lesson learned. Lesson shouldn't gin evil. Lesson people desperate poverty do desperate things. If not address poverty, changing drug no fix. But not lesson society took. Took poor, dangerous drunk. Took need control better. Didn't take maybe pay enough food, housing, not need oblivion escape. Worst? Judith Dufour not unique, just famous. Other mothers harmed kids during gin crisis. Mary Estwick so drunk let baby crawl fireplace, burn death. Watching baby for money, spent on gin not sober. Mothers sold kids' clothes kids wearing. Mothers abandoned infants streets. Mothers who, list goes. Each held evidence mothers, poor mothers, inherently immoral. Not desperately poor, addicted, needing help. Just bad. And here's what really gets. Where fathers all stories.
Judith pregnant twice. Some man responsible both. Where he? Why no consequences? Why no child support? And true all cases. Always mothers blamed, executed, cautionary. Fathers vanished narrative, like no role. I think Judith sometimes more than should. Imagine last thoughts, gallows, Tavern. Regret? Of course. Understand why? Blame self fully? Or part recognize set fail from start? Think Mary, girl should have grown? Hope forgiveness? Or think beyond? Think Mary too. Don't know looks, happy or sad, chatty or quiet. Know nothing except existed, died. Death story people told point. Deserved more. Deserved life, didn't get. This story, Judith's, Mary's, symbolized gin crisis. When talk mother's ruin, this image mind. Soon, artist William Hogarth takes this image, story, fears, creates something powerful, changes how see gin, poverty, society. Creates art disturbing, memorable, still famous nearly 300 years. We're about meet William Hogarth. See how art more powerful laws. How engraving change minds when thousand sermons couldn't. We're about see Gin Lane. Every terrible detail. Understand one man's vision helped end crisis. But first understand man. Who Hogarth? What made care gin crisis? Why believe showing horror make folks finally act? Let's find. If you've tried change mind something don't want see, no hard. Show stats. Give logic. Plead. They look away. Find reasons not believe, not care. But sometimes right image right moment cuts denial, makes feel. That's Hogarth grasped. That's bet. And February 1751 test theory dramatically. William Hogarth, born London, November 1697. Childhood gave front seat. Poverty most successful artist never know. Father Richard Hogarth, teacher, writer, educated, should have meant stability. But education no bills if no buyers. Richard opened Latin-speaking coffee house London. Ambitious where customers converse Latin only. Intellectual, impractical, failed badly. When failed, Richard couldn't debts. So 1708, William about 10 or 11, whole family, William, father, mother, siblings, to Fleet prison. Yes, debtor's prison.
5 years, William's childhood home prison. Not crime really, just debt unpaid. 5 years, William saw educated, dignified father reduced nothing. Saw creditors humiliate family. Saw poverty inside, never forgot. When family out, debt forgiven or paid, records unclear, William, 16, decided succeed. Make money. Never prison again. Apprenticed silver engraver, learned craft, set own shop. Then art school, learned painting, got portrait commissions wealthy. Good, really good. 30s, Hogarth earning well painting flattering rich portraits. But Hogarth, what makes fascinating, bored painting rich. Found shallow, unsatisfying. Wanted meaningful. Maybe debtor's prison years. Maybe seen suffering, couldn't unsee. Whatever, Hogarth started modern moral subjects. Painting, engraving series telling contemporary stories, vice, morality, bad choices, consequences. 1730s, 40s, created famous narrative art series. A Harlot's Progress, Young Woman London, corrupted, dies young. A Rake's Progress, wealthy youth squanders inheritance gambling, women, ends mad bedlam. Marriage a la mode, satirizing aristocratic convenience marriages. Not just pictures, stories, sequential images. Basically, first comics. Hugely popular, showed real life. Recognizable people making recognizable errors. But 1750, Hogarth early 50s, disillusioned. Paintings auctioned, not fetching thought should. Critics dismissed mere comic artist, not serious. Looking London gin crisis destroying city, angry. Friend Henry Fielding, magistrate writer mentioned, told courtroom stories, gin crimes. Mothers like Judith Dufour, destruction scale. Hogarth decided act. February 1751, Hogarth published 2 engravings, pair viewed together. One Beer Street, other Gin Lane. Friends, when say images changed history, no exaggeration. Let describe, if unseen, need grasp what people saw. Beer Street prosperity picture. Street full, well-fed, content people. Pavior, street paver, breaks, drink beer, plump, healthy. Sign painter, works, looks satisfied. Background, buildings constructed. New homes up, economic growth sign. Fishwife, well-fed, round, flirts pavior. Everyone drinks beer. Yes, but not drunk, just content, happy. Only crumbling building pawn shop. Joke, when afford beer, good jobs, no pawn possessions. Pawn shop failing. Beer Street says this England should be. Could be if drank honest English beer. Now Gin Lane. Worn, image disturbing. Meant be. Design shock, horrify, make unable look away. Setting St. Giles, know from Bloomsbury St. George's Church Tower background. Street crumbling, buildings falling, people, oh people. Center, eye drawn, woman on steps, barely clothed, dress slipping, legs syphilitic sores. Takes snuff pinch, smiles, grins insane. And what makes gasp first real look, holds baby, her baby falling off lap down steps toward injury or death. Mother so drunk, oblivious, gone, doesn't notice. That woman Judith Dufour, or every like her. Mother's ruin incarnate. But just start. Walk Rest horror show because Hogarth packed details, each means something. Right, Man Street, skeletal, fights dog over bone. Dog, both hungry fight scraps. Next, child holds baby, perhaps sibling. Baby looks dead or dying. Child's face no emotion, numb death. Background, coffin carried house, no one cares. Death common, not notable. Man hangs self-building, suicide public, again, no reaction. Tuesday Gin Lane. Left, charity schoolgirl, uniform, pours gin baby's throat, teaching next generation drink, cycle continues. Behind, barber hangs shop, body window. Sign above Kilman distiller, Kilman, get. Distiller killing people. Children line door buying gin. Woman wheelbarrow, early wheelchair, drinks gin cup. People fight, collapse, buildings collapse, foreground bottom, coffin dead woman gin, child cries beside. All image death, decay, madness, suffering.
But Hogarth's genius, not just show problem, show contrast. Beer Street, Gin Lane hung side by side. Look together. Beer, prosperity, health, Englishness, good. Gin, poverty, death, foreignness. Remember, gin Dutch, evil. Message clear. Drink beer, not gin. Choose life, not death. Be good English, not gin wreck. Now, Hogarth's smart businessman, successful years, new market. Most engraving sold high, several shillings. Middle, wealthy buyers afford art. But Beer Street, Gin Lane sold cheap, about shilling each, less pair. Why? Wanted working class buy. Wanted images taverns, workshops, homes, gin shops. Everyone see. Note published with engravings, artist statement, says like, as these prints aim reform, reigning vices lower class people. Hopes more use, author published cheapest possible. Bit condescending lower class, but intent good. Wanted images difference, not decorate rich walls. And did. Absolutely. Gin Lane instantly famous. Everyone talked. Tavern keepers hung walls. Beer taverns loved pro-beer message. Preachers sermonized. Reformers pamphleted. Became visual gin crisis rep. When thought gin, saw Hogarth's image minds. Woman dropping baby, man dogfight, suicide, death, decay. Timing perfect. Published February 1751. Henry Fielding, Hogarth's friend, pamphlet January 1751, month earlier. Coordinated. Fielding written argument, stats, logical reform case. Hogarth emotional impact, visceral horror make feel gut. Words, images together, logic, emotion. 1-2 punch. Same year, 1751, Parliament passed Gin Act 1751. Different earlier. Actually worked. Didn't ban gin outright. Learned prohibition creates black markets. Instead, required licenses sell gin, affordable, legitimate, cracked, sketchy sellers. Forced gin sellers proper premises, renting least £10 year. No dank sellers, holes. Prohibited distillers sell unlicensed, cut supply worst. Now, did Hogarth's engraving alone cause 1751 Gin Act pass? No. Many factors. Fielding's writing, Judith Dufour case, years reformers, undeniable crisis scale. But Gin Lane help? Absolutely. Made issue unavoidable. Gave mental image couldn't shake. Turned abstract social problem concrete horror. Know what's interesting? Image power hasn't faded. Google Gin Lane now. Find it. 300 years, still famous. Still analyzed art history, public health classes. Parodied, referenced countless. Modern versions. Cocaine Lane, binge drinking lane. Hogarth template comment modern abuse. Image transcended time. Because Hogarth understood human psychology fundamental. Can understand intellectually. X people dying, not feel.
Stats don't move like stories. Numbers don't move like images. But show one mother dropping one baby, make see face. See baby falling, see horror single moment. Suddenly get, suddenly real. That's best art does. Makes invisible visible. Abstract concrete. Takes intellectual knowledge, makes emotional. When feel, moved action. Change possible. Hogarth knew image propaganda, not objective. Beer Street propaganda too. Promoting beer consumption benefited British brewers, agriculture, agenda. But sometimes propaganda true, sometimes pushing genuinely better alternative. Here, beer, lower alcohol, nutritious, less adulterated, really better than killing gin. After Gin Act, gin consumption declined, crisis eased, Hogarth returned painting. Other series, works. But Gin Lane remained famous. What remembered? Wonder what thought? Mine known mainly one shocking image over sophisticated art? Or proud art changed society, saved lives? Hope latter, new accomplished. Because here's post-1751. Gin production dropped. 1751, London 7 million gallons. 1752, 4.25 million. 40% drop year. Kept dropping. Death rates declined. Birth rates recovered. Slowly, London healed. But gin crisis not end overnight. Years. Generations social damage repair. Meanwhile, still suffering. Many broken lives couldn't mend. Judith Dufour already dead. Mary already dead. Thousands of 1730s, 40s already dead. Hogarth's image couldn't revive. Reform couldn't undo done, only prevent future. Lesson? Prevention better cure. But prevention needs see problem pre-crisis. Needs care sufferers even poor, powerless, easy ignore. Needs art, writing, activism. People make noise till system changes. Hogarth made noise. Lot 1 engraving. People listened. Finally. But story not over. Need talk next. Gin Act passed. Gin consumption dropped. But problems vanish? Poverty disappear? Slums livable? No, because gin never root. Gin symptom. Treat symptoms only, disease finds new expressions. What after gin crisis? How gin shops transform. Where desperate folks go when no cheap gin. That's headed. Aftermath, consequences, intended, unintended reform. Stay. Transformation surprise. What if told sometimes best save something completely transform? Take toxic, dangerous, ugly, make beautiful. That's basically gin early 19th century. One fascinating rebranding histories involved clever marketing, architectural genius, mysterious cat barrel. Yes, cat. Explain. It's early 1800s, say 1805, symbolic year Battle Trafalgar, Admiral Nelson defeated Napoleon's fleet. Britain feeling good self. Gin crisis mostly over. 1751 Act working. London not collapsing. But gin reputation problem. Massive. Hear gin, still think Hogarth image. Think Judith Dufour. Mother's ruin. Think death, poverty, madness. Gin legal, not respectable. Desperate peoples drink dark places. Here's human ingenuity. Distillers, entrepreneurs, business folks looked, thought, what if change gin's image completely? Make gin fancy. Sounds impossible, like rebrand cigarettes health product. But did. Took decades, did. Transformation started gin itself. Remember crisis gin often poisonous, adulterated horror. Distillers improved quality. Partly 1751 Act required better standards, also realized gin survived product, need good. Actually good. Used better grain, real juniper, not turpentine, proper methods. Created styles gin, flavor profiles, names refined, not threatening. Here's cat. Wonderful story, historians debate true, love anyway, Origin: Old Tom Gin, popular 1800 style. Legend: apprentice distillery Lambeth named Thomas Norris, called Young Tom. Worked master distiller Thomas Chamberlain, everyone Old Tom. Young Tom left, opened own gin shop, not cellar, proper. Great Russell Street near Covent Garden. Bought gin barrels, old employer Old Tom Chamberlain. Labeled barrels style, flavor. One barrel, Old Tom's special recipe, labeled Old Tom. Supposedly decorated barrel tomcat painting atop. Cat because Old Tom. Whether story exact true, no sure 1820s Old Tom Gin recognized style. Sweeter, London dry, hint sugar smoother, palatable. Brand boards London used cat image labels, ads. Cat iconic. People knew cat meant quality gin, not crisis poison. Branding. Marketing. 19th century luxury brand identity. But better gin not enough. Drinking places needed change. Brings late 1820s, early 1830s revolutionary. Birth: Gin Palace. Context: 1820s, 30s, Industrial Revolution full. London growing fastest ever. Factories everywhere. Population exploding. New middle class emerging. Not aristocrats, not desperately poor. Clerks, skilled workers, small owners. Little money spend. Want socialized places reflect status. Don't want fancy gentlemen's clubs. Can't afford, not admitted. But don't want grimy taverns remind poverty or parents' poverty. Meanwhile, beer comeback. Remember Hogarth's Beer Street? Propaganda worked. Beer seen respectable English drink. Beer breweries opening public houses, pubs. Nice, clean, decent lighting, furniture. Working people drink beer comfort. Pubs popular. Taking business gin cellars. Gin distillers looked, thought, compete. Create gin spaces nice, no, nicer, beer pubs. Early 1830s did. First Gin Palace, or first recognized new different. Thompson and Fearon's opened Holborn around 1829 or 1830. Date fuzzy, nobody knew start movement. But people saw Thompson and Fearon stopped. Stared, not cellar. Not normal shop, spectacular. Imagine 1830 working-class Londoner, finished long day, walking home dirty, crowded, poorly lit streets, buildings dark brick or stone soot-covered coal fires, shades gray, brown. Turn corner, suddenly building light made, facade huge plate glass windows. Important. Plate glass expensive, rare. Most shops small windows, thick wavy glass. But gin palaces enormous clear windows see inside. Inside glowing. Gas lighting. Before most homes gas, street lights common. Gas bright, steady, modern. Gin palace gas lights everywhere, reflecting mirrors, whole place sparkle. Decoration. Polished wood, brass fixtures, ornate carvings, painted ceilings, gilded details. Looked expensive because was. Gin distillers invested serious money. Establishments understood crucial. Atmosphere matters. People buy not just product. Buy experience consuming. Buy feeling gives. Charles Dickens visited Gin Palace 1835, wrote journalism. Described perfectly, dazzling contrasted darkness, dirt just left. Impressed spectacle, disturbed luxury, sell gin. But point exactly, contrast. Step poverty, dirt into light, beauty. Few pennies, feel briefly somewhere belong. Fancy, respects you. Let describe typical gin palace interior.
Read descriptions, scene illustrations, wish visit heyday. Walk big glass doors, large room, larger cramped cellars. High ceilings, 12 or 15 feet, feel grand. Ceiling decorated plaster moldings, sometimes painted, gilded. Maybe chandelier or gas fixtures, warm glow. Walls sweating? No, covered mirrors, huge ornate frames. Mirrors multiple purposes. Reflect light, room brighter, space larger. Customers see selves. Look mirrors, see self beautiful space. Moment, not poor laborer. Someone important, important place. Bar long counter, horseshoe, polished wood. Behind, more mirrors. Front mirrors, massive earthenware vases or urns, different gins. Not barrels, decorative urns. Each 30 or 40 gallons. Labeled Old Tom, London Dry. Cordial gin. Each character, taste. Choices. Choice implies quality. Respect customer. Floor often tiled. Ceramic tiles, geometric patterns. Practical, clean, beautiful, decorative. Everything Gin Palace says quality establishment. Valued customer. Here's really strikes. Designed democratic spaces. Fancy, yes, but accessible. No dress-up, no membership, no introduction someone important. Walk in. Money drink, welcome. Working men, middle clerks, even women sometimes, though respectable women alone, scandalous. But Gin Palace's space different classes mix unusual Victorian society. Thompson & Fearon's success sparked imitators fast. Mid-1830s Gin Palaces opening London. Weller's Old Street rivaled Thompson & Fearon's grandeur. Dozens others, each outdo with lights, mirrors, decoration. Competitive. Which most spectacular? Draw biggest crowds. Drew massive. Accounts describe Gin Palaces packed, especially Friday, Saturday nights. Payday workers. People lined bar, multiple deep, ordering. Turnover fast. Order, drink, leave, or stay another. Gin small glasses drunk quick, not lingering. Efficiency. Fast food model drinking. Not everyone thrilled Gin Palaces. Remember gin's bad rep. So beautiful, enticing establishments appear, reformers, moralists, horrified. Saw Gin Palaces traps. Beautiful traps lure working people, spend wages, drink. Temperance advocates wanted reduce or eliminate alcohol, hated Gin Palaces. Wrote pamphlets like The Gin Palace, a snare for souls, Satan's drawing rooms. Magistrates worried Gin Palaces encourage drinking, lead drunkenness, crime, home issues. Calls refuse licenses Gin Palaces, regulate hours, ban gaslighting less attractive. Some restrictions eventually, but Gin Palaces thrived because people wanted. Met need not just alcohol, beauty, escape, special space. Designed democratic, yes, but hierarchy within. Everyone welcome, but maintain class distinctions. Thank you. By late 1840s, over 5,000 Gin Palaces London area. 5,000. One every 500 people. Defined Victorian London. Read era novels, Gin Palaces constant settings. Look, illustrations, photographs mid-Victorian. Gin Palaces there, glowing darkness. Term Gin Palace stuck, even many sold beer, wine, law required. Called Gin Palaces. Gin, signature, brand. Gin rehabilitated, transformed mother's ruin to product. Light, beauty, relative respectability. Manipulation? Absolutely. Cynical marketing, extract money working people? Yes. But genuine improvement over 1730s, 40s hellish gin cellars? Also yes. Both true. Gin palaces better came before. Even problems sold harmful product. That's history complexity. Things not good or bad. Steps process. Gin palaces step forward, gin cellars. Not final answer, poverty or alcoholism, but better. Sometimes better what get. Not perfect, better. Gin Palace era transformed London's streets, social life, gin. But gin palaces not static, evolved. Move mid-late Victorian, Queen Victoria's reign. Establishments more elaborate, spectacular. 1830s, simple gin palaces just beginning. Next, architectural grandeur, scale amazes today. We're about to step inside later, magnificent gin palaces. Examine architecture detail, materials, design philosophy, specific innovations. Talk why Victorians obsessed ornate decoration. Visit specific gin palaces exist today. Places go experience history firsthand. Story about get beautiful ways might not expect. Let's see Victorians built really committed make gin respectable. Theory why drawn Victorian architecture. Not just nostalgia or looks. Think Victorians understood forgotten. Beauty matters. Spaces inhabit shape, self-feel. Build something, even simple pub, make extraordinary. Nowhere statement more evident mid-late Victorian gin palaces. Not buildings. Statements, art. Let's show mean. It's 1869 London. Massive engineering project completed. Holborn Viaduct. Bridge spans Valley Old River Fleet. Easier travel City London West End. Victorian engineering triumph. Edge Viaduct 126 Newgate Street. Across Old Bailey Courthouse. Someone builds pub. Not any pub. Gin Palace finest examples Victorian pub architecture. Call Viaduct Tavern. Viaduct Tavern opens 1869. Immediately special. But not finished. 1898. Almost 30 years later, architect Arthur Dixon redesigns interior. Creates scene photographs, read descriptions. Want visit? Like walking jewelry box. Let describe detail. Each element tells Victorian design philosophy. Ceiling. Victorian gin palaces obsessed ceilings. Viaduct Tavern ceiling swirling gilded plaster reliefs. Not simple moldings, elaborate botanical patterns. Geometric designs. Gold leaf. Why? Standing bar. Tired, stressed day. Look up, see gold. Beauty. Craftsmanship. Reminds special place. Elevates drinking mundane something almost ceremonial. Walls painted panels, not wallpaper. Hand-painted scenes, portraits, motifs. Between panels, cast iron columns painted look marble. Cast iron everywhere. Victorian architecture strong, inexpensive, cast elaborate shapes. But Victorians not content plain iron. Painted, disguised, expensive materials. Something honest, deceptive, theatrical, saying, we know cast iron, you know cast iron, but pretend marble, have better time. Bar itself mahogany, rich, dark, polished mahogany glows light. Mahogany imported Caribbean, Central America, expensive, but Victorian gin palaces used lavishly, says quality. Behind bar, massive mirrors, ornate gilt frames. Victorian gin palaces used astonishing mirrors. Estimates suggest gin palaces, pubs, consumed 40% mirror glass produced Britain mid-Victorian. 40%. Staggering. Not plain mirrors. Etched glass. Victorian craftsmanship shines. Etched glass coating wax or resin. Acid eat unprotected areas. Frosted patterns. Patterns gin palaces. Intricate floral, geometric, sometimes scenes or portraits. Viaduct Tavern. Etched panels, classical figures, vines, borders.
Each panel, days or weeks create. Imagine commissioning, paying craftsmen weeks etch glass pub. That's Victorian mindset. Now, let's take another surviving gin palace, see aesthetic widespread. Princess Louise Holborn, built 1872, possibly complete surviving Victorian gin palace design. When say complete, mean almost nothing changed since 1872. Walking Princess Louise today, essentially time travel. Floor. Start floor. Floors don't get credit. Princess Louise original Victorian mosaic tile flooring. Small ceramic tiles, half-inch square, arranged geometric patterns, black, white, red, blue, diamonds, borders, medallions. Floor serves multiple, beautiful, practical. Ceramic tiles easy clean, important alcohol place. Durable. Floor survived 150 years foot traffic. Mass-produced 1870s, not prohibitively expensive. But Victorians arranged patterns, made decorative. Why plain when beautiful? Princess Louise, something rare. Original Victorian snob screens. Heard? Brilliant social engineering. Snob screens, small wooden partitions, frosted glass panels divide bar, semi-private areas. Idea, drink without scene, people don't associate. Maybe middle class, don't want seen drinking laborers. Or private conversation, don't want overheard. Snob screens, name tells exactly. Created hierarchy, democratic space. Everyone welcome gin palace, but maintain class distinctions. Thank you very much. Princess Louise original Victorian bar, massive horseshoe, polished wood, ornate columns, mirrors, display bottles. Here's gets, attention detail. Bar edges carved decorations, supports turned wood spindles. Every visible surface embellishment, nothing plain. Nothing good enough. Everything beautiful possible. Let's tell one more. Argyll Arms near Oxford Circus. Interesting. Built 1860s, next Oxford Music Hall, one London's top entertainment venues. Argyll Arms design catch theatergoers pre- or post-shows. Proximity theater. Argyll Arms feels theatrical. Interior divided rooms, alcoves, each character, decoration. Mirrors. Argyll Arms survived Blitz, German bombing World War II. Most neighborhood destroyed, but massive Victorian mirrors, some 10 or 12 feet tall, made through. When think, blows mind. Buildings collapsed around, but mirrors, fragile glass, held 19th century tech, survived. Still there today, still reflecting light, still doing designed 160 years ago. Now, why Victorians build way? Why excess, decoration? Thought lot, think several reasons. First, Victorians living massive technological, social change. Industrial revolution transforming everything. Cities growing unprecedented rates. Traditional life disappearing. Midst change, disruption, ornate decoration provided permanence, stability. Look carved wood, gilded plaster, etched mirrors. Stuff built last, says not going anywhere, solid, permanent. Second, Victorians access new materials, technologies made elaborate decoration affordable ever. Gas lighting completely changed interior design. Before gas, interiors dim, couldn't see decoration. But gas bright, steady, controlled, create dramatic lighting effects, highlight architectural features. Mirrors effective more light reflect. Entire aesthetic gin palaces possible gas tech. Similarly, mass production made decorative elements cheaper. Ceramic tiles. 1800 hand-painted, prohibitively expensive. 1870, factories, thousands. Cast iron, architectural elements, mass-produced molds. Etched glass, still skilled craftsmen, but techniques refined, sped. Victorians achieved decorative richness bankrupted earlier generations. Third, important, Victorians believed moral power, beauty. Sounds strange, modern ears, but Victorian reformers thought exposing working-class beautiful things improve character. Ideas surround people ugliness, squalor, behave badly. Surround beauty, art, craftsmanship, aspire better behavior. Patronizing ways, but led Victorian philanthropists funding museums, libraries, parks. Yes, gin palace owners creating genuine beauty spaces. Gin palace work applying philosophy, commercial context. Make space beautiful, customers respect. Behave better, spend more money, sure, but less likely drunk violent because environment encourages decorum. Environmental psychology before field. Also competitive aspect. Remember, 1860s, 70s, thousands gin palaces London. Stand out? Convince customers come yours, not down street? Make yours beautiful, spectacular. Hire best craftsmen, import expensive materials. Create people want seen, tell friends. Instagram effect before Instagram. People wanted associated impressive venues. Craftsmen built gin palaces, rock stars, Victorian construction. Master carpenters, elaborate wood carving. Plasterers, swirling ceiling reliefs. Glass etchers turned flat pane art. Gin palace work prestigious, budgets large, results visible. Did good. Prominent gin palace portfolio, got more commissions. Poignancy, thinking craftsmen now. Most anonymous, don't know names. No Arthur Dixon designed Viaduct Tavern interior, but not who carved wood, plastered ceilings, etched glass. Names lost, work remains. Every time someone enters Princess Louise or Viaduct Tavern or Argyll Arms, experiencing skill Victorian craftsmen died century ago. Kind immortality, isn't? Here's really gets emotional. These spaces built ordinary people. Yes, commercial ventures make money, but places working-class Victorians experience luxury. Dock worker couldn't afford opera or fancy restaurant, but afford gin palace. Few minutes standing mahogany bar, looking gilded ceiling, seeing self enormous mirrors amid etched glass, ceramic tiles, carved wood, palace. His palace, the longed. That's why gin palaces matter. Not just architecture, history, but statements, democracy, dignity. Spaces said, deserve beauty, deserve craftsmanship. Deserve drink place, respects. Yes, manipulation, capitalism, designed to extract money working people, but genuinely respectful, dignified than drink seller. Today, visit London. Many Victorian gin palaces exist, protected buildings, historic landmarks. Walk Princess Louise, order pint. Probably not gin, ironically most order beer. Standing exactly Victorian workers stood 150 years ago. Same tiles feet, same mirrors reflecting image, same sense stepping special. One accessible time travel available. But gin palaces, not just beautiful buildings, social spaces, real life happened. Conversations, arguments, romances, business deals, conspiracies, celebrations, sorrows. Architecture created stage, people created drama. Some dramas, stories inside gin palaces, fascinating, revealing Victorian society. Who actually drank gin palaces? Rules, customs, social dynamics. How women navigate spaces. Staff, barkeeps, potboys, people ran establishments. We're about meet real people filled beautiful spaces. Architecture incredible, but human stories make come alive. Buildings just buildings until people fill life. That's talk now. Actual humans walked ornate doors, stood mahogany bars, looked enormous mirrors. Because gin palaces weren't museums. Living, breathing social spaces, Victorian life played messy, complicated reality. Let's introduce some made places real. Friday evening, 1875, say around 7, standing outside Gin Palace, Holborn, maybe Princess Louise talked. Gas lamps glowing, huge plate glass windows. Hear noise inside, voices, laughter, glass clink, crowd gathering Friday payday most workers. Wages distributed, pockets money, Gin Palace money spent. Whose crowd? Billy, dock worker 30s, loaded ship since 5 morning, hands calloused, scarred. Clothes smell sweat, river water, fish. Got maybe 3 shillings, not lot, but enough. 1, maybe 2 drinks, head home wife, kids, plan anyway. Tom, clerk solicitor's office. Slightly threadbare, but clean suit, collar starched. Carries leather portfolio. Tom makes twice Billy, but maintains appearances. Suit, respectable lodgings, middle-class pretense. Tom gin tonic. Tonic water, mixed gin becoming fashionable. Maybe linger hour, reading newspaper provided establishment. Group women. Interesting, because women pubs controversial Victorian society. These particular women match factory workers, late teens, 20s. Work brutal hours, dipping matchsticks white phosphorus, slowly poisoning, causing phossy jaw. Horrible condition, jawbone rots. But Friday night, paid. Not thinking that. Thinking gin, gossip, maybe flirting, men bar. Standing slightly apart, everyone else, woman, 40s, wearing dress, bit fine, bit bright. Name Sarah, prostitute. High-end, relatively. Works theater district, here scouting clients. Gin palaces, known gathering places sex workers. Because where else woman alone, public, without scandal? Respectable woman couldn't walk Gin Palace herself, but prostitute could. Everyone knew difference. Now, social dynamic fascinates. All people, Billy, dock worker, Tom, clerk, match girls, Sarah, prostitute. About same space, same bar. Most areas Victorian life, never interact. Class separation, rigid. But gin palaces created weird democratic space brief time. Normal social rules bent, not broken. Let's follow inside. Billy pushes door first, goes straight bar because standing offered. No tables, chairs, lounging. Intentional. Gin palace wants turnover. Quick drinks, payment, departure. Next customer. Billy orders small gin, about 2 ounces, cost tuppence. Barkeeper, large man 50s named Jack, seen everything 20 years bar, pours, practiced efficiency. No ceremony, conversation unless initiate. Billy drinks 2 swallows, feels burn, warmth spreading tired body, orders another. Promised self last, we'll see. Tom enters, nods politely, no one particular. Positions alcove created snob screens talked. Doesn't want seen drinking manual laborers. Not snob. Well, maybe little. Sensitive social position. Orders gin tonic, cost 4p tonic extra. Opens newspaper. Make drink last 30 minutes reads. Moment peace, cramped boarding house room. Match girls enter group loud laughing. Immediately changes atmosphere because women, young women, working class women, bring different energy. Men notice, some move closer, some away. Barkeeper watches carefully because women drinking, especially young, lead trouble. Girls order gin peppermint cordial, make sweeter, palatable. Not experienced drinkers. Drinking social experience, feeling grown up free one evening. Cluster together, creating bubble feminine space, predominantly male environment. Sarah enters last. Positions near door visible, not intrusive. Orders small gin, doesn't drink immediately. Working. Catches Tom's eye. Blushes, looks away. Too respectable approach. Catches Billy's eye. Grins, shakes head. Married. Loyal. Maybe another time. Waits. Someone interested. Someone always. Now, barkeeper Jack, real key understand Gin Palace's function. Jack not just serving drinks, managing social dynamics, watching trouble. Knows regulars, knows Billy drinks too, leaves. Knows Tom nurses one ages. Knows match girls giggly second round. Needs make sure men don't advantage. Knows Sarah business, long discreet, no interfere. Jack worked pubs, gin shops 20 years. Seen transformation youth's gin cellars palaces, served thousands drinks, broken hundreds fights. Listened countless misery, joy stories. Makes about 30 shillings week, decent working class, hours brutal. Starts noon, works midnight or 1 a.m., 6 days week. Feet hurt constantly. Lungs full tobacco smoke, everyone smokes gin palaces. But steady work, good. Jack rules, unwritten enforced. No fighting or out permanently. No harassing women or out night. No selling drugs or stolen goods or reported police. Keep language relatively clean, swearing fine, not around women. Pay drinks, don't sick floor.
Simple rules. Keep civilized. Here's find interesting. Most time people follow rules. Not forced, but environment encourages. Remember talked. Beauty space, gaslighting, mirror see self, who's watching. All creates social pressure. Not dark cellar nobody see doing. Lit public space. Behavior visible. Reputation matters. But violence happens. Course. Alcohol plus tired men plus tensions equals fights. Fight breaking now actually. 2 men bar arguing something. Maybe one bumped other. Maybe previous grudge. Specifics don't matter. Shoving. 1 punches. Jack there immediately. Doesn't mess. Wooden club under bar. Not afraid use, but usually doesn't need. Separates. Voice loud authoritative. Out both now. Other customers help. Want fight ended too. Ruins atmosphere. Just want drink peace. 2 men shoved door. Swearing. Posturing, but leaving. Order restored. Jack returns bar. Happens maybe once or twice week. Deal. Move on. Match girls second round now. Louder. Confident. 1. Marry. Flirting young man printer's apprentice. Buying drinks or trying. Laughing jokes. Touching arm. Become romance? Maybe. Victorian courtship happened gin palaces because where else working class young meet away parental supervision? Maybe marry, printer walk out together. Maybe meet next Friday. Maybe months married. Or maybe one night's flirtation, next week talking someone else. Gin palace possibilities play. Tom clerk still reading paper, but eavesdropping conversation near. 2 men discussing business opportunity, warehouse lease, profit margins. Tom always looking better position. Mental notes. Maybe mention employer. Maybe useful. Gin palaces places business happened. Deals struck. Information exchanged. Alcohol loosened tongues. Alcohol public, yet private snob screens allowed discreet conversations. Sarah found client. Middle-aged man, decent coat, probably shopkeeper or small businessman. Negotiating quietly. She'll leave first. He'll follow 5 minutes. Meet outside. Walk lodgings. Transaction done. Part Gin Palace ecosystem. Victorians' deeply hypocritical sex. Officially, prostitution immoral, shameful, social evil. Unofficially, everywhere, tacitly accepted, discreet. Gin palaces one few places transactions happen without scene. Billy had 2 drinks, feeling good, warm, relaxed. Edge exhaustion. Should leave, promised wife. But one mate's docs just walked. Oi, Billy, one more round. Billy hesitates, knows shouldn't. But Friday, earned. All right, just one. No story ends. Just one becomes 2 more, maybe 3. Billy stumble home later, promised, less money should. Wife angry, argue. Same scene, thousands homes London every Friday, Saturday night. Gin palace giveth joy, taketh domestic peace. But no, don't judge Billy harshly. Imagine life. Imagine 12-hour days loading cargo, back-breaking labor, all weather. Home-crowded tenement, thin walls, crying children. Never enough money, body aching, no prospect better. That's Billy's life. Most working-class Victorians' lives. Gin Palace offers few hours, feels good, warm, friends, pain stops. Healthy? No. Sustainable? Not really. But understandable? Absolutely. Let tell one more person Gin Palace. Boy, maybe 13, working pot boy. Job collect empty glasses, white bar, fetch fresh bottles cellar, help Jack barkeeper. Works noon closing, same Jack, makes maybe 5 shillings week. Name Charlie. Working year since father died, family needed income. Charlie sees everything, sees romances, fights, sees who drinks much, who enough, sees prostitutes' clients, sees businessmen deals, workers drowning sorrows. 13. No illusions adult life. Education not books, but humanity varieties. Will Charlie grow barkeeper like Jack, or get out, find better? Don't know. But Gin Palace work shaping, teaching people, money, social hierarchies, vice, virtue, complicated space between. It's now about 10 o'clock. Crowd thinned bit, Friday rush over. People here now regulars, serious drinkers, nowhere else be. Billy's mate convinced stay several rounds. Now Billy properly drunk. Not violent, happy drunk, loud, unsteady. Jack watching, waiting see intervene. Match girls left hour ago. Young women don't stay late, later gets, rougher crowd. Tom finished paper, left, walking carefully maintained dignified, despite gin warming veins. Sarah left client ages ago, different feeling now late evening. Beauty Gin Palace still. Gilded ceilings, mirrors, etched glass, but starting feel hollow. Gas lights seem harsh warm. Faces bar look tired, sometimes desperate. People, Gin Palace, not pleasant interlude, necessity. Here, addicted, lonely, home worse. Magic fading. By midnight, Jack ready close. Starts ritual getting out. Right, ladies, gents, last orders. Friendly firm. Knows most back tomorrow, keep amicable. Billy's mate helps poor Billy street, points home direction, hopes makes. Last stragglers finish drinks. Charlie already cleaning, collecting glasses, wiping tables. Jack counts till. Good night. Busy, not chaotic.
hand money owner's rep, keep wages, lock up, walk home small housewife waiting. Another day done, another begins tomorrow. This one night, one gin palace. But multiply thousands establishments London. Multiply decades Victorian life. Start understand role places played. Not just pubs, social institutions, where working-class Victorians lived significant portions lives, where relationships formed, deals happened, communities gathered. But focused London, England, working class. What bigger picture? How all, gin crisis, reform movement, transformation palaces, fit broader Victorian world. What slums haven't fully explored? What real stories people lived through, voices recorded, left first-hand accounts life actually like? Because voices, stories, some break heart also help understand alive Victorian London. History way sanitizing poverty. Read working classes textbooks, sounds almost dignified, category, demographic. But poverty not category. Lived experience. Waking cold every morning. Hunger never quite goes. Watching children sick, knowing can't afford medicine. So before finished story gin palaces, beautiful, glittering spaces, need show existed just outside doors. Because can't understand why people drank without understanding escaping. Let take walk. It's 1880. You're journalist or social reformer or curious how other half lives. Heard East London slums, never been. So one morning, take cab, afford cab. Tell driver, take Spitalfields. Driver looks, sure governor? Yes, sure. Takes. Travel east fashionable West End, watch city transform. Streets narrower, buildings older, decrepit. People look different, thinner, dirtier, exhausted. Smell changes, no longer horse manure, coal smoke, something else. Organic, rotten, sewage, decay. Desperation smell discover. Cab stops Spitalfield's edge, driver won't further. Don't go streets, on own, pay. Drives away quick, relieved. Standing entrance contemporaries called worse slums Europe. Walk Dorset Street. Daily Mail called worse street London, not exaggerating. Buildings either side 3 or 4 stories, brick, built 150 years ago respectable area. But now rotting inside out, mortar crumbling. Windows broken, covered rags or boards, doors off hinges. Every building lodging house, multiple families room, sometimes dozen people space meant 2. Let tell one rooms looks like, accounts people documented. Henry Mayhew, journalist, spent 1850s interviewing London poor, writing lives. Book London Labor and the London Poor, thousands pages first-hand accounts. Describes typical slum dwelling. Room maybe 10 by 12 feet. No windows or if, no glass, just openings, maybe cloth. Ceiling low, 7 feet. Water-stained roof leaks. Walls brick, no plaster. Running condensation, no ventilation. Floor wooden planks, gaps see room below or above. No furniture except broken chair, straw sacks beds. No heat except tiny fire makeshift grate. Can't afford much coal, mostly cold. Always cold. Room lives family. Father, mother, 4 children, maybe grandparent, maybe boarder pays few pence week, sleep floor. 7, 8, 9 people, 1 room. Entire world. Cook here if food. Sleep here. Together, no privacy. Get sick here. Die here. Room costs maybe 3 shillings week rent. Not much until realize working man might make 10 to 15 shillings week. Nearly third family income, rent, horrible room. If sick, can't work, slow down docks or factory, can't pay. Evicted. Then where? Doss house. Mentioned before, explain really. Doss houses, common lodging houses, absolute bottom housing market. Licensed, supposed police inspected, but rare, standards non-existent. Doss house typically large room, old warehouse or factory, filled beds. Beds loosely. Sometimes actual iron frames, straw mattresses. Sometimes wooden boxes like coffins. Why called fourpenny coffins? Pay 4 pence sleep sitting, leaning side. Lying cost more. Sometimes no beds, rope strung waist height. Pay 2 pence lean rope sleep standing. Not making up. Called 2-penny hangover. Real. Doss houses opened 8 p.m., had pennies in. No, street. 10 a.m. next, all kicked, weather or health. Proprietor airspace or rent same daytime. Conditions indescribable. Beds, lice, bed bugs. Smell unwashed bodies, vomit, waste overwhelming. No heat, minimal light, no security. Possessions stolen sleep if not careful. Disease, wildfire. Tuberculosis, cholera, typhoid thrived. Sick Doss house, recover own or die. No help. End 1800s, about 1,000 Doss houses London, housing tens thousands nightly. Not outliers. Housing reality significant London's working class. Now, even not Doss house, room described. Life brutally hard. Let walk typical day working class Victorian. Your dock worker. Wake 4 a.m. Work starts 5 or 6. No alarm. Wake cold. No move. No breakfast. No food or time. Walk docks. Mile. 3. Depending live. Rain. Cold. Dark. Arrive docks. Crowd. Hundreds men. Dock work casual. No permanent. Hired day. Foreman out. Points. You. Points you. Work today. No. No work, no wages, no food. Arbitrary. Terrifying. Happens every morning. Chosen. Lucky. Work next 12 to 14 hours loading, unloading ships. Heavy cargo, all weather. Dangerous. Men fall, water drown. Crushed cargo. Maimed machinery. No compensation. Injured, out luck. Can't work, can't earn. Midday, break, 30 minutes. Eat brought food, bread, cheese, fortunate. No bring, no eat. Some spend break money, gin nearby pub. One shot, quick energy, back work. Finish 7 or 8 p.m. Worked 13 hours. Wages day maybe 2-3 shillings. Walk home hour. Arrive exhausted, filthy, starving. Food, eat. No, tomorrow try. Collapse straw sack, surrounded family 1 room. Sleep till 4 a.m., do again. This if lucky work. Healthy work, no injured. Good scenario. Now, think women. Working class women worse many ways. Same poverty, added vulnerabilities. Working woman seamstress, home sewing piecework. Paid per item, penny shirt, tuppence dress. Make enough, live. Sew constantly 15-16 hours day. Eyesight bad close work. Fingers bleeding needle pricks. Still can't earn enough, piece rates low. Or factory. Match factories notorious. Girls young, 13, work 12-hour shifts dipping matchsticks white phosphorus. Toxic. Causes phossy jaw. Phosphorus bloodstream cuts or fumes, rots jawbone. Teeth fall. Jaw disintegrates. Excruciating. Disfiguring, often fatal. Factory owners knew. Kept using white phosphorus, cheap, effective. Famous strike 1888 match girls Bryant May factory walked protest conditions. Won first major industrial actions women. Won concessions, but basic reality little change. Girls still brutal hours, brutal wages, brutal conditions. Because choice? And children. Oh God, children. Mention child labor, make real. 7-year-old working-class child, no school. Work. Maybe climbing boy, chimney sweep apprentice, forced climb narrow chimneys, clean, small fit. Get stuck. Suffocate. Develop respiratory diseases. Die young. Or mines, crawling narrow tunnels, pulling coal carts. Or textile mills, operating dangerous machinery, losing fingers and hands. Or streets, selling matches, flowers, newspapers, working day, contributing few pennies, family survival. Infant mortality rate slum areas, horrifying. Mention some neighborhoods, 1, 2 children died before age 1. But even survived children, childhood. No play, no education, no safety, just work. Hunger, cold, waiting, grow enough, work harder. 1886, businessman Charles Booth decided systematically study poverty, London. He assistants spent 17 years walking every street London except wealthy city, talking people, documenting lives. Created detailed maps, every street, color-coded, wealth inhabitants. Black, poorest, vicious, semi-criminal. Dark blue, very poor, casual, chronic want. Light blue, poor, 18-21 shillings week, moderate family, up. Purple, pink, red, yellow, wealthiest. Maps finished, shocking, even new poverty. About 30% London's population poverty, 30%. Richest city, richest empire world, nearly third people conditions described. Hunger, cold, 1 missed paycheck, homelessness. Look maps online today, digitized. Zoom, any street, Victorian London, see poverty level. Haunting. See black, dark blue streets, lives desperation. Think, how people survive? Answer, many didn't. Ones did survive, resilience, community support, escape mechanisms. Gin, music halls, gambling, prostitution, things offered brief respite, unbearable reality. And suddenly gin palaces make more sense? Yes, commercial enterprises extract money workers. Yes, drinking problem. Yes, alcoholism destroyed families. All true. But understand escaping. Understand cold, hunger, exhaustion, hopelessness. Understand why gin palace, warmth, light, brief, feeling human, irresistible. Makes angry, think. Response, gin crisis focused. Almost entirely controlling gin, controlling poor behavior, rather addressing poverty. Stop drinking much, said. Be moral, responsible. But nobody said, maybe pay people enough life. Provide safe housing. Not work children death factories. Some reformers understood. Charles Booth advocated state pensions elderly. Some pushed better housing, labor rights, education. But change slow, agonizingly slow. Slums described persisted well 20th century. Some aspects persist today, different forms. And that's lesson take. Can't solve social problems addressing symptoms only. Regulate gin, necessary, saved lives, but not address underlying causes people drinking death, not solved anything. Suffering finds new forms. Today, look opioid crisis America. Other countries see same pattern. People, economic despair, communities destroyed, job losses, declining prospects, turning drugs, relief. Response often same. Stop using drugs, just say no, be responsible. Rather, asking why people so much pain, what do pain? History lessons, if willing, learn. But voices slums themselves, people lived reality, spoke, wrote, left stories. Precious, rare. Most poor didn't write memoirs, didn't leave records, some did. Some voices survived, about here. Real people, real names, lived, told, like. Words make everything talked feel real, immediate, human. Let's listen. Something powerful, reading someone's actual words 150 years ago. Not historian summary, textbooks analysis. Real voice, real person telling real life. Reminds weren't statistics, categories. Humans. Names, stories, dreams, fears. Real you, me. Some, not many, left voices. Let introduce few. Name Ellen, 1851, spoke Henry Mayhew. Journalists spent years interviewing London's poor. Ellen watercress seller. Bought watercress bulk, sold streets tiny markup. 8 years old, 8. Here's told Mayhew notes. Go streets, watercresses, crying 4 bunches, penny watercresses. Just 8 years old, that's all. Have big sister, brother, sister younger, I am. On, off, very near 12-month streets. Used go school, wasn't there long, forgot all now. Such time ago, mother took away, master whacked. Goes, describe day. Wakes 4 morning. 4 morning, she's 8. Walks market by watercress. Spends day streets trying sell. Good day, might make 6pence. Bad day, nothing. Life. Has almost year. Probably years till old enough, factory or domestic service. But here's breaks heart. Mayhew asks life, happy, says something like, ain't child, past 8, am. Don't know nothing earns year. But no works hard, that's all. 8 years old doesn't consider child anymore. Past 8. Worker. Identity. Mayhew interviewed hundreds like Ellen. Crossing sweepers. Kids swept horse manure streets wealthy cross without dirting shoes, hoping penny tip. Mudlarks. Scavenged Thames low tide, valuable sell. Ragbone collectors. Street performers. Prostitutes. Thieves. Every way people scrape survival, Victorian London. Costermonger. Street vendor named Jim, told Mayhew evening routine. Day selling fruit cart, Jim go pub, not gin palace, fancy 'em, but working man's pub, spend leftover pennies gin tobacco. Mayhew asks essentially, why spend money drink poor? Jim says stuck since red. Says, miserable, must 2 pen'orth gin. Takes misery out, didn't, go mad kill self, only pleasure got. Only pleasure got. Think. Gin not recreation, Jim. Not socializing enjoyment. Only makes life bearable. Survival medication. Understand drinking not weakness, immorality, unbearable pain. Changes see whole story telling. Let tell another community. Story not just English workers. Immigrants, particularly Irish, flooded London during after Great Famine 1845 to 1849. 1 point, Irish 20% London's population. 20%. Huge. Irish immigrants came nothing. Survived barely worst humanitarian disasters modern European history. million died Ireland starvation disease. Another million emigrated. Made London arrive traumatized, desperate, often sick, not welcomed open arms. English complicated feelings Irish. By complicated, mean deeply prejudiced. Irish stereotyped lazy, violent, drunk. Sound familiar? Same every immigrant wave stereotyped. Irish clustered neighborhoods. St. Giles, Little Ireland. Took worst jobs. Dangerous work that's all get. Found account. Irish woman Bridget interviewed 1860s. Came London, teenager, famine. Parents died, siblings scattered. Came alone, ended, laundress, hardest brutal jobs. Laundresses stood day hot steamy rooms, washing clothes, hand boiling water. Hands constantly raw, burned. Work destroyed health, made maybe 8 shillings week, fast, worked constantly. Bridget says, work 5 morning, 9 night, sometimes later. Hands never not hurting. Skin comes off, grows back, hard, comes off again. Share room, 3 other girls, all Ireland, all trying send money home, whoever left. Don't much, each other. Saturday nights go pub, not drink much, can't afford much, but warm, music, people talking Irish. Only time feel selves. Last part, only time feel selves. That's gin. Palaces, pubs provided immigrant communities. Spaces speak native language, among own. Few hours not despised immigrant hostile city. Home, or close home, get. Now let take specific place, specific industry, understand bad working conditions, get. Frying pan alley, Spitalfields. Heart sweating system. Small garment manufacturing homes or tiny workshops. Term sweatshop comes era. System. Jack London, American writer, remember? Visited sweating den, frying pan alley, 1902. Description, vivid, horrifying, need share. Writes, walking slimy pavement, entering abomination house. Climbing narrow stairway, heaped filth, refuse. Reaches room maybe 12 feet square. Large table, most space. A round table, 20 people crammed, working, making shoes. Not factory, 1-room residential building. Men, women, children working together. Surrounded, leather scraps, tools, glue, shoemaking detritus. Another room, Jack finds young boy, maybe 14, dying, consumption, tuberculosis. Boy lying rags pile, corner, too sick work anymore. Everyone keeps working, paid piece. Every minute not working, minute not earning. Can't afford stop, even care dying child. Jack looks window sees 1-story hovels people live. Roofs covered filth, fish meat bones. General refuse human sty, puts. Realizes not exception, normal, how thousands neighborhood live work. People working sweating dens, not employees modern sense. Contractors or subcontractors, paying rent, use space, buying materials, selling finished products, middlemen took most profit. Worked fast, 18 hours day, everyone family including children worked constantly, might make 10 shillings week, maybe. That's why end day needed gin. Alternative feeling full weight reality, unbearable. But here's thing, important. Working class Victorians, not passive victims, fought back, organized, created communities, movements improve lives. Sometimes won. July 1888, something extraordinary, Bryant May Match Factory, East London.
Match girls, about 1,400 women girls, most teenagers, went strike. Radical. Women didn't strike. Working-class women certainly not, but did. Why? Conditions literally killing. Talked phossy jaw, white phosphorus rotting jawbones, also worked 14-hour days, wages low, some literally starving. Factory fine minor infractions, talking, dropping matches, toilet, fines eat half-weekly wages. Supervisors abusive, sometimes violently. Girls had enough. Strike led 3 young women, names should famous. Sarah Chapman, Alice Francis, Kate Slater. Teenagers, courage stand won biggest companies Britain. Walked out, all 1,400, stayed out. Company tried intimidate, get return, threaten blacklisting, never work London again. Girls didn't budge. Nothing. No strike fund, savings, support except each other. Stayed out 2 weeks. 1. Company agreed eliminate worst fines, improve conditions, reinstate women fired organizing. 1 first successful strikes unskilled women workers British history. Inspired Great Dock Strike 1889 involved 130,000 workers, shut London docks month. Showed even powerless, exploited workers organize when stuck together. Where match girls gather, plan strike. Pubs, gin, palaces near factory. Spaces not just drink, community centers, meeting spaces. Where working-class people organized better lives. Alcohol there, but that's part gin palace story too. Not just escape reality, also spaces people together change reality. Another set voices here, those second-hand. Police reports, newspaper accounts. Prostitutes, Whitechapel. 1888, same year match girl strike. Serial killer started murdering prostitutes, Whitechapel. Press called Jack Ripper. Heard him, but victims? Mary Ann Nichols, 43. Annie Chapman, 47. Elizabeth Stride, 44. Catherine Eddowes, 46. Mary Jane Kelly, 25. Real women, real lives, not just Ripper victims, people. Mary Ann Nichols, everyone called Polly, estranged husband. 5 children couldn't support, in, out, workhouses. Tried make money, domestic servant. Couldn't keep jobs, drank much, turned prostitution. Night died, thrown doss house, no 4-pence bed. Last recorded words, friend, I'll soon get doss money, see jolly bonnet got now. Proud hat. Thought earn 4-pence, get bed, okay. Instead, murdered. Ripper murders coverage did unexpected. Forced middle-class, wealthy Londoners' attention East End. Journalists wrote detailed accounts, poverty, conditions, desperation led women prostitution. Charles Booth's poverty survey gained momentum, partly Ripper case. People suddenly wanted understand, gotten bad. Gin palaces featured many accounts. Ripper's victims, last seen pubs, drank. Gin, mostly. Gather courage, night's work, dull, fear, shame, cold. Pubs, gin, palaces, Whitechapel. Documented extensively murder investigation. Detailed records, who drank, where, seen, whom, discussed. Grim archive gives glimpses lives otherwise completely lost history. One witness, woman, Elizabeth Long, testified inquest. Seen Annie Chapman talking man shortly murder. Detective asked where Elizabeth going early hour. Said way, Spitalfields Market sell crochet work made. Worked night making lace crochet, sold dawn, home sleep few hours doing again. Life. Knew Annie Chapman, not well, enough Nod Street because same community, same desperate economy. These voices,
Ellen watercress seller, Jim costermonger, Bridget Irish laundress, unnamed workers frying pan alley, match girls struck, Polly Nichols other murdered women. Voices don't usually make history books. History remembers kings, politicians, artists. Remembers Hogarth, Fielding, men passed laws. Tends forget people laws affected. People actually lived gin crisis aftermath. But people made history real. Drank gin, worked factories, lived slums, survived or didn't. Stories matter, voices matter. Lucky few preserved, captured journalists like Mayhew, social investigators like Booth, writers like Jack London cared enough. Ask, listen. When read accounts, hear voices, changes, see everything. Gin palaces, not just beautiful architectural curiosities, spaces where Ellen might spent first earned shillings old enough drink. Where Bridget Irish friends gathered Saturday nights. Where matchgirls planned strike. Where Polly Nichols looked clients last night alive. Real places, real people, real lives, often brutally hard, also filled small moments, joy, connection, resistance, humanity. That's history really about. Not dates, laws, buildings, people. People trying survive, find meaning, make better options have. Alcohol loosened tongues. Public yet private atmosphere, snob screens allowed discreet conversations. That's O. O effort understand lives, not romanticize, condemn, see complicated, real, fully human. So, bottom line? Big takeaway. Long story, gin, smoke, secrets, Victorian London? Think this. Systems shape lives, people shape systems. Gin crisis created policy decisions, economic structures, social inequalities. But addressed people. Artists like Hogarth made others see. Reformers like Fielding refused to look away. Workers like matchgirls demanded better. Change possible requires addressing symptoms, tackling root causes. Requires seeing people, human beings, rather problems, managed. Requires courage, imagine things different, better, more dignified, everyone. Gin palaces prove possibility. Someone looked gin cellars, imagined better, built. Not perfect, not complete solution, better. Better matters. If take nothing else story, take better matters. Whether policy, community organizing, trying understand world, start asking, better look like work toward. Even perfect seems impossible, better worth fighting. Thank staying journey, thank listening voices, history, caring people, never meet, lived, died, century ago. Thank thinking stories teach, own time, challenges, responsibilities. History, not just past. Understanding got here, patterns repeating, might do differently. Victorians made mistakes, successes. Created problems, solved imperfectly. Doing same. 150 years now, people look back, judge mistakes, successes. Hope, judge kindly. Hope, see tried. If enjoyed deep dive Victorian London's hidden pubs, humans filled. If learned or felt something or thought differently, love, subscribe channel. Building community, people care, history, not dates, facts, human stories. Connect across time, many more stories tell. Leave comment, let know. Would visit Victorian Gin Palace could? Surprised, most story? Connections, see modern issues. Read every comment, love hearing thoughts. Finally, story might ending, many more waiting told. Stories other places, times, people, lived lives worth remembering. Stay tuned, keep lights low, keep listening. Because history full voices calling, asking, remember, learn, carry forward. Best built, learned. From dark gin cellars, 1730s London, glittering gin palaces, Victorian splendor. From mother's ruin, craft cocktails, desperation, dignity, quite journey. Thank taking me. Until next time, take care of selves. Remember, everyone meet fighting battle, know nothing. Be kind.
Listen, when can, make things little better. That's change happens. One person, one choice, one moment, dignity time. Good night, everyone. Sweet dreams. See you next.